Different users in a multi-user solution might use the database from a different perspective. Some might like to work with customers, and others might like to work with invoices. And they can easily create a new invoice here and then pop up the menu and add in a customer. But if you're working from the customer's perspective, you can certainly find the customer that you want to work with. You can easily go into find mode, type in John, and there's the person you want. Wouldn't it be nice to have a button here that you could click that would create a new invoice? It's actually not that hard to do. We're going to go into Scripts Workspace, click the plus sign. We're going to say New Invoice, and then we'll say From Customers. And the first thing we're going to do is use a new step called Set Variable. It's really not that hard to understand. It's actually really handy. Think of it like copy. It puts something into a clipboard. In this case, it really puts it into memory, but it doesn't use the clipboard. But it works the same. It's on the same principle. It allows you to store something when you go somewhere else. It's a great way to move information from one table to another without a relationship. So we'd come in here and we'd say $sign or $sign. Now, there are two different types of variables. The single $sign is a local variable, meaning that it ends or it's initialized, the value's gone out of that variable as soon as the script is done running. A double $sign simply means that you get that value until the file closes. It's usually a good idea to use single $signs. In this case, we don't need a double $sign, so don't go the extra effort to do that. It's just going to put this thing in memory that you don't really need in memory. We only need it for this single script, you'll see. So we're going to call it ID. You can call it whatever you want. As long as it has a single $sign or a double $sign, you can call it whatever you want. Just remember what that is. And then you tell it what to go in there. We're going to put the customer ID in there because that's what we want. In order to connect the customer to an invoice, we have to go to invoices, and then the customer ID. But we have to have some way to get the customer ID from customers over to invoices. And this is how we do it. So our next step is go to Layout. We'll go to the Layout Invoices form. Then we'll create a new record. And then we'll simply do a set field. Specify target field. Make sure it's Invoices. And we're not using Invoices customers here because the context will have changed when we move to the layout. We'll be in the Invoices context, as you can see here. We're not right up here. When we're inside customers, when we're saying the variable, yes, if we want to specify something from invoices, it would have to be through invoices customers. So you got to remember when you're running your script, it's switching context and perspective for you. So you got to keep track of that so you know what to do and what to refer to, because you don't have that handy dandy thing that partitions all the different table occurrences by grouping. You just don't have that here. You have to know what's going on. So we're going to specify invoices. We're going to go to KF Customers ID and then specify the calculated result, which will be a simple $ID. So in other words, we're referencing or storing the customer ID inside $ID, going to the invoices, doing a new record, and then taking the result, the contents of $ID, and putting it into the foreign key so that now that customer that you're on is now the invoice. It's now attached to that invoice. And I'm going to add one more step here, commit records, just to clean things up. I don't want any fields selected once I get over there. So I'm going to turn that off, skip any validation, and that will make sure that we're just over there ready to go. You could also go to the first field you want filled. That's up to you as well if you want to do that. But I like to have it nice and clean and simple and no field selected. So we'll come up here and save. I'll use the keyboard command for that. Close the window. Go into layout mode. Double click on this. New invoice. This time instead of single step, I'm going to use perform script and choose that script I just wrote. We'll go into browse mode. We're on John Mark Osborne. Let's check to see how many customers or how many invoices we have. We have 4 right now, so we should get a 5th one. It's always good to make sure you know what's going on. So we'll click New Invoice. So we get a 5th record in Invoices, and it's got John Mark Osborne on it. So it's very simple. Makes it so that users who like to work with the database both ways. Some will be in Invoices and searching and creating here. Some like to work in Customers because they get more information about the customer there. It's really up to the user, and you should make it easier for both types of users to use this system.